YouTube, we have a long and very eventful weekend in Miami. The agent was supposed to have a weekend getaway with his wife, but that turned into a whole lot of business when I came down. We have a lot of the usual suspects, some really cool APs. Some of you may guess by the box size that this may be one of those anniversary Pateks, but this one comes with a big surprise. We'll leave that one till the end. Let's go. But we're gonna start with a big, and by big, I mean physically big shout out.
So we just got a package in here from our good friend and client, goes by the name of 𝗙𝗰𝗲𝗯𝗲. Now 𝗙𝗰 is arguably the greatest bodybuilding coach of all time. In fact, this year, 2022, he had 2 Mr. Olympia champions, classic physique Chris Bumstead and then heavyweight champ 𝗙𝗵𝗲𝗯𝗲. He was kind enough to send us some of his 𝗙𝗵𝗲𝗯 product, and which by the way, is the only protein that I use to date.
And I was gonna be the third, but I didn't quite make it.
Shaker, these always come in handy, shaker bottles.
How many of those do you have?
I have a lot of them, but they die out pretty quickly. So here we have a cinnamon crunch isojack. So this is an ultra whey isolate protein. And then we also got here EVP Extreme NO. So essentially what this is a pre-workout and a muscular, I forget what they said. In other words, you take this, hair grows on your chest and you get a ridiculous pump. The 2 different flavors here. We have an iced mocha coffee and a grape con candy. Grape con candy, interesting.
I'm going with cookies. I like cookies. I hope it's not in the size of his usual clients because we're not that big.
No. Thank you, 𝗙𝗵𝗲𝗯𝗲. Shout out 𝗙𝗵𝗲𝗃 Nutrition, the best in the business.
Oh, this will fit me. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's jump into some watches. It says collections, but now I know what's in here. Audemars Piguet, Royal Oak reference number
26331OR chocolate dial, non-converted with a bracelet. This is one of those pieces that's a fan favorite. You know, AP Royal Oak, as we all know, is arguably probably the best looking watch in the market, in my opinion.
It's not arguably because it's my favorite brand, so I'm going to say yes.
Favorite watch, so rose gold to chocolate is always a great combination. So pending condition, you're looking anything from a naked piece, which this is, from 75,000 upwards of about 90,000.
Something under 100,000, like something for 105 and something for 98. Mentally, just it helps the sale process. That's at least what I found.
You're right, it's cheaper.
I understand, but it's getting over that 100, because the minute you say 100,000 something.
So it's not 6 figures, let's just say.
I feel like that's a bit of a hurdle to like mentally to jump over. Oh my God, that's a 6-figure watch. You know, because 100 grand has a big ring to it. One of the new model Cartier Tanks in a large format. What did you take? Because traditionally these pieces were always tiny.
I will say that it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. Tank is a great watch, you know, iconic piece, and kind of has that more or less retro vibe. It's kind of overwhelming to the eye because I'm like, wow, I've never seen it like that before.
But look how beautiful it sits on the wrist.
Yeah.
I mean, it sits beautifully on the wrist. One of my favorite watches, but the thing of it is that for me to wear one of them, they were always too small for me. So finally, I feel like this on a strap as well would work. There's a very, very easy way for us to find out these things, and that is we buy stuff and we see what the public says by purchasing it. So Adrian makes a lot of decisions based on analytics. I know you guys seem to think we just do this off the cuff. No, there's actually a rhyme or reason. Obviously, first and foremost is experience of many, many years, but at the same token, we're also very analytical. So another icon, the Cartier Pasha. Can't say enough about how iconic that particular model is. This is comparable to a 2-tone sub. Dressier, Art Deco-ish.
Art Deco's a good one for that.
And I think if you take Rolex, actually, let's take a 2-tone Rolex. Here's one.
It's actually a very comparable piece right there. A Datejust with Cartier Pasha like that. I think it's a very, very good comparison.
So if you look at these two side by side, right? Even though this is a 2-tone with a diamond dial, this will give you a more rugged, sportier look, where this can be sporty and go extremely well with the suit. What's the story with these? I haven't seen a lot of these 2-tones on an Oyster with a diamond bezel. I mean, is that they don't make as many of these, or it's just not as popular? What's the story with this?
No, not at all. I think from a procurement standpoint, it's very difficult to buy them at the right price, to then be able to sell them at the right price, because anytime you have something that's trading aftermarket at MSRP, it's very hard to buy it because a lot of people aren't really willing to take a loss on a new Rolex today, right? So right. I think that's a fully stickered example as well.
Stickered, that's, if the watch is new, it's new. Yes, there is some appeal to a watch being stickered.
Some people like it.
But at the end of the day, a new watch is a new watch. But then again, there is something to be said when you get that new appliance at the house and you peel, like a TV or something, you peel that stickers off. Oh, that's so satisfying. Patrimony line. It's the most classic Vacheron you can get. It's the most understated, very comparable to their color travel line. If they made a watch 70 years ago in gold, in that size, it would look like that. Of course, 70 years ago, it'd be a lot smaller. This is DNA of a classic watch from the Holy Trinity. That's really all I can say about that. And it's a lot more affordable than a color traveler.
Let's move things on to an H. Moser. I like how they say on the box, very rare.
Listen, if you're not going to advertise yourself, you know what I mean? Like, who will? Moser, numerous times we've talked about this. This is more affordable. This is a little bit more affordable. A little bit more rock and roll with this, with the black ceramic finishes and the black and titanium. It's funny how they paid attention to the case finishes. You sort of have that mirrored darkened finish. You have the ceramic black finish on the outside, but yet, the minute you look at the Moser, the first thing you're going to look at is that knockout dial and that blue.
If you buy Moser, you're buying the dial.
Well, you're also buying a quality movement. You're also buying a quality made watch. But Moser will always stand out with what? They're going to stand out with the dial. Much like a Royal Oak will stand out with the bezel. I'm going to pop off a few Rolexes. Maybe we'll get a couple of market prices from Adrian on that.
Hulk.
Where are we at on the Hulks now?
Hulks have been pretty steady for,
I was going to say,
it's just, anytime you have a very, very popular watch that's no longer in production, the chances of the market being stable on that watch are much higher than something that's still in production.
What do we have?
It's a white card.
It's a white card. So, rough market price on these now.
So market condition on a white card Hulk is that you're going to find anywhere between like 19 to 22,000 pending condition.
I mean, they did get up to what? High 20s?
Hulk's over 30.
Over 30 at some point, especially with a new style card.
I think we sold a fully stickered Hulk with a new style card for 33,000 at the peak.
Yeah, but guess what? But I don't mind, even though the market came down to them, I don't mind that client if he's gonna hold on to it for the long haul, and I think that's what he's doing. Yeah. I feel like I did this purposely, but we go from the Hulk to his younger brother or sister, i.e. the Starbucks. And where are these at now? They're in the mid-teens now, right? They're
in the mid-teens, yeah. Again, it's one of those watches that's definitely a fan favorite. We get a lot of requests for them. It's obviously in our top 10 selling watches that we ever get in. I would say the only reserve people have in terms of paying more for a Hulk than they were a Starbucks, for one, 40mm case size, and for two, that the fact that they already kind of did the Kermit back in the day with the black dial and the green bezel, right? So the Hulk is a little bit more unique. I feel like people who buy the Starbucks are buying the Starbucks not because it's necessarily cheaper than the Hulk, but because they find there's just too much green in it. Overwhelmingly.
And me personally, I prefer just like I like the Smurf versus the white gold sub with the black dial. I prefer the Hulk over the Starbucks. Palm Motif, right? I believe is that an official name? Or is that something we came up with? The gray market?
No, I'm pretty sure it's official.
So the Palm Motif dial, actually, oddly enough, I've only seen these. I've never seen this. I've only seen this like in the green variations.
There's not really much you can say about a Datejust, right? I mean, everything is pretty much in the word, right? Datejust, it's a Rolex Datejust.
It's just a Datejust.
But what I do like, now finally you have something where from 10 feet away you can distinguish a new from an old, whereas before you really couldn't do that. So I really like the touches on that.
With them doing this and the Wonder Bread dial that you just did at Basel with the little dots, that was the best meme I found.
That's no special.
Yeah, who did it better? It allows for people to enter collectability without having to spend a lot of dollars on the likes of Daytonas and the likes of Submariners and things of that nature, where they can do it in the realm of a Datejust or even an Oyster Perpetual, which is cool.
So not too many APs in this unboxing, but here I'm going to bring out actually one of my top, I would say 3 offshore releases in the past,
regular production, not limited.
I think period.
This one.
So the Tiffany, or otherwise known as the Gulf Offshore here. And what's cool about this specific one is it actually has a deploying clasp, which does not originally come on that watch and very, very hard to come by, and for a lot of people who love
because the new style deploying clasp.
Exactly. So it comes on a baby blue strap.
So somebody actually ordered this extra.
Somebody ordered this extra, yep. They have never produced anything like it before. So those are the type of offshores I like. Any of the run-of-the-mill offshores, although they're great, there's a lot of similar ones. To be
fair, I disagree, Adrian. My story in the watch business started with the offshores, right? They started with the themes. You had a black dial, you had a white dial. They had a rubber clad, right? Which is a different take on things in terms of material, rubber strap. Then they went into other variations. They did a volcano, they did a navy. Every time they do this, they come up with a new colorway, and they're similar only in size and overall look. But when it comes to paying attention to things like, it wasn't just, oh, let me take this and let me make the sub dials white. Every single offshore, like every wave of offshores is different.
This takes it to another level in terms of uniqueness.
Yeah, but this, I agree with you.
It's such a bold color.
I agree with you.
It's not black and something. It's Tiffany blue and something,
Guys, you are familiar with me actively going after rare semi-vintage, neo-vintage, or vintage timepieces such as this Oysterquarz. And this is not just any Oysterquarz, this is a Kanjhar Oysterquarz. You'll notice on this one, you'll notice a Kanjhar logo that I've showed you guys before, if you guys can zoom in on that. And then you'll also notice a crown. So what that's known as the Royal Kanjhar, right? Those are rare because these are the pieces that were actually preserved for royalty versus pieces that were given out as gifts to somebody that may be working with the palace or somebody that's visited the palace. What's also so special about this particular watch is actually double stamped. There's a red Royal Kanjhar in the back of the watch, which you rarely see in some of the older models. You normally only see it in the front of the dial. And of course, the box, and there's some kind of a letter in here. What is this? So a service? What is this? Oh, original receipt?
Signed by the
Wow. From 8/1/1990.
Yeah.
And it cost $255. Yeah, inflation. So this actually has an original service, which is pretty cool. I was like uber rare, never had one of these. But when I found out about this watch, I worked hard to get it, and I'm happy that I did, and I'm happy that it's here. Ladies Datejust, Kanjhar on a dial, and again, the Royal Kanjhar, not the regular Kanjhar, because it does have the crown at the top. And again, Rolex was not the only thing that put Kanjhar logos on. Multiple brands wanted to work with the Sultanate of Oman for obvious reasons. For one, they spend a lot of money, and it was also a prestigious thing to do. So here's an AP that you know, it's a very typical 80s design, right?
Very King Midas.
Very King Midas, very Piaget-like, you know, typical to its era in the 80s. And again, in a fully integrated bracelet, and this thing is new old stock. Like this is an AP. So, long story short, it takes a certain collector type, it's a certain genre of collecting of that era. But again, collectability of watches, they tend to peak at the age of 50 to 60 years old. Good for stuff that's 25 to 35 years old to 40 years old because they haven't really, you know, peaked. Will they go up in value, go through the roof in the future? We don't know. We don't like to predict that. But that's what I like to do. I like to purchase things that haven't apexed. Real quick. This is what Hublot used to be before Hublot became what it is today. This is what Hublot used to look like, and actually used to sell pretty well in the early to late 90s before they revamped the entire brand and made what we know as Nico's favorite brand today. I want to show you one more Kanjhar, and that's a Girard Perregaux Seahawk. Presentation is everything. Box, right? Even the outer box has the Kanjhar. It's those little things that will make collectors, you know, feel warm and fuzzy inside. And the Seahawk is from their diving line. You can dive. Let's see. It's
a long way down.
It is
further than you need to go.
Yeah, a lot further than you can physically go. I think it's like 3,000 feet or something. It's something ridiculous with these things.
So we have the new Mercedes hands, Yacht-Master II in stainless steel. Three generations of hands. First you had the all white hands that came out, and then you had the blue hands. Now what you have is called the Mercedes hands. They're also white hands with literally like a Mercedes-Benz logo.
Yeah. Sure it says. Ooh.
Oh yeah, okay. Forgot we're getting this one in. Annual calendar moon phase 5205 rose gold, but not just a regular black dial. It is the newer green dial. I mean, this is one of those watches where it hits different in a different light. When you're outside, it's green. When you're in lighting such as this, it still appears a little black.
I'm glad they did that and didn't put the loud green dial they put in.
Yeah, it's like a
5270 for me. I love that watch. But I love the fact that this is a very
subdued. Yeah.
And you guys, for those that know that these small little boxes are reserved for.
Not everybody knows. You have to actually open up the box.
Yeah, they're reserved.
Inside the box.
They're reserved for the side. They're reserved for the anniversary piece. Not added to an anniversary piece. But that giveaway is the core box. So what we have here is we have
a $25,000 box.
And what we have here is a full-blown bust down.
5976.
5976 anniversary autograph.
Originally made famous by the likes of Floyd Mayweather. He was the first one that I personally saw with the 5976 fully iced out.
When I first saw that, at the time that Floyd Mayweather iced out that Patek, this was trading around $125,000. Iced out, obviously, probably doubled the price on that. And then all of a sudden, as these watches on their own started going through the roof, so did the price of the outside. And it was a certain flex to take a very collectible watch and words of Nico, ruin it, because this does ruin the watch. Now, we received this from a client of ours who's asked us to help him sell the watch. Do I go out and find a client that wants the flex of taking the watch? That watch plain is $450,000 today, right? Mm-hmm. Without the diamonds, right? But with the diamonds, unfortunately, it's actually less. right? And we gotta try to figure out what that number is.
Because most collectors feel that the integrity is now lost, considering you did stuff like that to watch. However, there is a big market for that watch out there. But what's actually very key about this one, and I've spoken to a few friends in the industry, and they took a close look at that, is the actual setting and the diamonds that they use in that particular one we have here is actually very, very high quality.
Yes.
Which is key, because I've seen complete butcher jobs before.
The key is that sometimes what they did with these is they would remake the case, remake the
case.
Now, why do these carry such a humongous market once they do get asked out? Is you have to consider the amount of work of setting all these diamonds and obviously.
Well, first of all, you have to buy the watch as is, right? Exactly. Which is going to cost you $400,000, and then you got to hand pick the diamonds. You got to set them.
This week is going to be a tough one. I'm running on 3 hours of sleep. Thank you, American Airlines. I will see you guys on the next unboxing. I will see you on the next live Instagram and TikTok. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And by the way, we're trying to get Adrian to 100K followers on Instagram. So
we are?
Yes. So for those of you that follow me and don't follow Adrian, make sure you follow Adrian Taskin on Instagram right now.
Right now.
Drop what you're doing. Adrian Taskin, follow.
I have the best stories when Nina takes over.
No. Just in general.
Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one.